that you know more people, that you know more people. I hate normal people more than anybody else. I hate you, normal people, more than anybody else. I hate you, normal people, more than anybody else. Anybody else.
Welcome to Joan of Art, the weekly podcast where we investigate and celebrate people who make art.
Dear madam, dear sir, dear madam, dear sir, dear madam, dear sir, dear madam, dear sir, dear madam, dear sir.
Hey, Joan of Art podcast listeners. Wow, we're back. Hey, I'm sorry I missed you guys last week, but it was my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I celebrated all week long. It was awesome. But I'm sorry I missed you, but I'm really excited to be here today because I have two incredible women here with me for this hour to talk about lots of different things, primarily a film festival that's going to be happening in the Twin Cities that we're going to really discuss. But I have Allison Herrera here. Welcome to Joan of Art, Allison.
Thank you so much for having me on, Joan.
You're welcome, yeah. And Michelle Baroody, who's here.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm going to pick on Allison first, and we're going to jump right in.
Oh, God.
I know. It's fun. No, it's just like hanging out. So I got to say, you're a Facebook friend of mine, and you're also a mutual friend of mine with a lot of my girlfriends that I like absolutely love. So you're really good friends with Sheila Regan, who I'm really good friends with too. And so I've wanted to get to know you better. So it's kind of funny that like one of the first times that we really sit down and chat is on the podcast. But I'm happy about it.
I like that. I like that level of formality with my friends. Yeah.
Well, you're familiar with, I mean, you are,
Yes.
well, you do a lot of stuff. And so I want to talk about the many things that you work on here in the Twin Cities. But I guess if we could just backtrack and I could ask you, where are you a Twin Cities native or where'd you come from?
I am not a Twin Cities native. I was born and raised in California, in the Central Coast of California, in a small town called San Luis Obispo,
Nice.
California. It's very beautiful. My grandmother was raised there, my mother, my grandmother's mother, and my grandmother's grandmother's mother before that. So
Wow.
I come from a very long line of California women.
So what on earth brought you to Minneapolis?
Well, I have a good friend named Ellen Hinchcliffe, who is also an artist here in the Twin Cities, who I went to school with at the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. So we went to school there, and I was sort of despairing that there weren't any really great jobs in California, and I was toiling away in the basement of the County of Santa Cruz building as, working on computers and like answering help desk calls and like shuffling paper. So it was really, really horrible and monotonous. My mother survived that job for 25 years. God love her.
Wow.
So she said, well, why don't you move to Minneapolis where my mother and I live? And there's lots of artist opportunities. There's lots of room to do creative projects, and going to school in Olympia, Washington, that was really something that you were given permission to do, which was to experiment, take risks, just because it wasn't a huge, big official art project didn't mean that it didn't have agency, didn't mean that it didn't have some, that it wasn't valid. So we took a lot of risks there. And I think that's what Evergreen and Olympia, Washington is really known for. So it was perfect. We came out here and you could kind of create your own scene. You had, a lot of she had a lot of friends. And so that was really awesome. And I survived the winters, and here I am.
What did you study in school?
Well, at Evergreen, you don't get a degree.
What's up with that?
Well, you get a degree, but you don't get grades. So I have a Bachelor of Arts with a focus in media and cultural studies and Spanish.
Wow.
So there you have it.
That sounds really nice. That sounds like a school that I might do well at.
Yes. Written evaluations.
Yeah.
Critique, lots of critique. It could be hard. The great thing about that school is you can work really, really hard and do really well, or you cannot really work. You cannot work hard and kind of, you kind of like
choose your own adventure.
Exactly.
It's like whatever you invest in.
The effort that you put into your education is what you're going to get out of it at the end. So
that's the way it should be everywhere, honestly.
I think so.
Yeah,
I definitely think so. I had a really great teacher that taught. She was a documentary filmmaker, had worked with the Maisels, and
wow.
She was a really amazing teacher, and she really encouraged me to keep exploring my family's history and keep making documentary filming. Keep exploring and making documentaries. So,
and so you've been doing a lot of that. So then you come to Minneapolis. Did you live in Minneapolis? Is that exactly where you moved to?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. And did it feel like it took you a while to kind of get your bearings here, or did you think?
For sure.
I know. Yeah. Isn't it interesting? I'm from here, but I lived in New York for 8 years, and when I came back, it felt like it took me about 3 years to really feel like I was a part of something.
It's hard to make friends here. It's hard to be with a group of people and be part of a scene, I guess, for lack of a better word. So then that limits your opportunities. I think the way I got involved with film here in the Twin Cities was through Intermedia Arts.
Nice.
I wandered in their building, and Lisa Ganser was she was working with the Fringe Festival that year. I think it was like 2001 or 2002. I can't remember. And they decided they were going to have a Fringe film festival. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right?
So she was kind of like, I have too much on my plate. Why don't you help me with this festival? Like, why don't you help me program? And so I sorted through a bunch of horrible movies and decided which ones should be in the program. Michelle, you're laughing because you probably have this experience.
No, they're all amazing.
So these, some were really great, some were not so great. So I helped program the festival, and then she had to really bow out. And it was myself and this other MCAD graduate where we were in charge of the tech. We were in charge of all of the site, coordinating with the sites, and I had never done anything like that before, but I found that I was very good at that, program management and that sort of thing.
Administrative
stuff. But also, really recognizing what would be attractive and what people would want to see at the festival. So that was a great experience. And from there, I was working at the YWCA, working in their Girl Power program.
Cool.
So, and then I was really fortunate. I started volunteering and working in KFAI's news department. And I found that I had a knack and a love for news reporting and being a part of a newsroom, even though it was really just a volunteer experience. And then I got hired to do other projects and work with Ann Alquist, the former news director at KFAI, who I have a lot of respect for and is really, I credit with being really helping me to develop my voice as a reporter, as as a person, a community media person here in the Twin Cities.
Wow.
So I still feel like I am a volunteer at KFAI sometimes. Like
your heart was really there.
Yeah, it was. It was really in community news. So from there, I worked at the Walker Art Center for a few years, which was a great experience, working for one of the world's most incredible museums in the education department with my friend Sarah Peters, who you probably know, and my friend Sarah Schultz, who both are incredible women.
Legendary. No, really, really great.
I mean, we really, and Witsi Asoko, who managed the teen programs with Christy Atkinson.
Yes.
Who created one of the most incredible teen arts programs in the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got to work with staff of really creative people and work with artists all over the world, that were coming in from all over the world. So that really taught me a lot about, working with artists and really working with the arts community to connect them to the Walker Art Center. And I really feel like the work that we did in the education department was something that we did I feel like we did the important work. The curators, they also do important work, but their job is here's the work. And our job is to say, okay, well, let's take that and try to make it real for people. So that was our job.
It really is imperative and like kind of part of the soul of the Walker, that community outreach, the educational programs. And
it is.
Having the youth too have a voice and be able to interpret things and make work themselves and plan events and all of the different things that they do. The program's still going strong, but I know that it's, those presences are missed,
Definitely.
And everybody probably takes it on and brings their own spin to it. But that was an amazing time for that.
It was.
Program.
It was.
Super cool.
So, I'm a reporter and a producer. I'm a filmmaker. I just finished my stint as the editor for the Twin Cities Daily Planet, which was really exciting.
Wow,
And-
that's a huge responsibility. Ah, do you want to talk about it?
Well, it's exhausting. Being an editor is exhausting. What somebody said. I was reading this really great article about this newspaper reporter in Miami, Florida, who covered crime, and her name was why can't I remember her name? Anyway, she said she was giving a talk to a group of students, and she said, here's 3 things that you got to know: never trust an editor, never trust an editor, and never trust an editor.
Why? What? Really? Do you think that's true? That's funny.
Because she's like, editors always want to change your copy. They want to, mess up your lead. They want to. I feel like I felt like I was too soft of an editor. So
Yeah.
that looks great. That's wonderful. It's a great story.
Right. It was just a different style of
Yeah.
managing content, right?
Exactly. And the Twin Cities Daily Planet, we're not the Star Tribune.
Right.
We're not MinPost. We really focused on community stories. And I felt like one of the things I brought to that job was bringing more different kinds of media into the mix. Mm-hmm. So I hope that continues. Mm-hmm. So now I'm actually working on 2 different projects. The first one is a really exciting project that's funded through the Association of Independents in Radio. It's called Localore, Finding America. So I'm working on this. I'm one of 15 producers from all over the country. I'm going to be embedded in a public radio station in Tulsa, Oklahoma called KOSU Radio. And I'll be working with the Native American communities in Oklahoma to try to connect them to the station and to bring more complex and rich stories to public radio audiences in Oklahoma.
Wow,
and
that's
really,
great.
I think it's a really important project. It's part of the work that I do as a reporter and a journalist, is to focus on stories about Native America. That's my background as a person. That's who my family was, and I come from that. And I think that so often in media we don't hear complex stories. We just hear sort of flattened stories about Native Americans and people of color. And, I think this extends to Arab Americans as well. We don't hear a lot about people's lives or, the things that they're doing to make their community better.
Right.
And I think, Oklahoma has such a long and troubled history with its native tribes, with the Trail of Tears and removal. I think that, yes, we want to tell some of the fallout from that, because I think people still feel that, but we also want to focus on how people are revitalizing their language in different and unique ways. We want to focus on the stuff that they're doing to create an indigenous food movement. I'm going to be working with this amazing filmmaker named Sterling Harjo, who just rocks so hard. He made this incredible film called This May Be the Last Time, about his family and these Muskogee Creek songs, and it's an amazing film, and it will make you cry. It's just so well done, and so I'm going to be working with him to produce some short videos and stories. And he might do a podcast too.
Yay!
I'm going to be hopefully working with some of their other reporters to do news and public affairs. We will be working with an editor at the Cherokee Phoenix, which is one of the longest running tribal newspapers, to produce some stories about Cherokee in Cherokee country in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, which is an amazing place. And we just want to make radio that sounds different, that doesn't sound like public radio. And I think that's what AIR is all about, and what the Localore project is about. It's not, they're not taking go, produce a program that can be on All Things Considered. I mean, yes, we want things
That's
to be
great,
on OK.
but yeah, there's more than that in the world.
Exactly. It's about experimenting. It's about taking risks. It's about going outside. It's about, really trying to pull in what haven't we heard? Like, what are people doing that we don't know about? So I'm really honored. I'm so honored that the folks at AIR took a chance and decided that they were going to say yes to my project. So It's called Invisible Nations, and you can go on airmedia.org/localor to see all the other really amazing producers. Another local journalist, Jess Mador, she's doing a project in Knoxville, Tennessee, using a truck, a mobile. She's doing this kind of like mobile
sound
radio
AV truck kind of
yeah.
soundtrack. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's a producer in Baltimore that's doing an amazing project. I mean, just like all over the country. So it's a cool project. And I just planted my flag today. So if you go on Facebook and like my Invisible Nations page and go to kosu.org, I've put some shameless plugs in here.
That's okay. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what this is about.
So I'm working on that. Even though that's not a Minnesota project, it's definitely my time reporting and producing here in Minnesota has influenced this project heavily. I do some radio work for the Boys Fort Band of Chippewa up north, interviewing elders and people up there about their lives, and that's why I wanted to do this project. I'm incredibly grateful to them for really connecting me to that community, and I've done a lot of reporting here on the arts community, Native arts community in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm. So are you traveling to and from?
Yeah, so I'll be back and forth. So
wow.
I'll be like, I have an 8-year-old daughter here that I love and cherish very much, and I wish that she would move to Oklahoma with me, but she can't do that. So I'm going to have to come back here. And
so you'll be spending time in both places working on, but then you're working on other projects here too. But I want to ask you, so it sounds like you've got kind of this history going now of really getting storytelling from people from communities of color and people in the community. And I really love the idea of being able to tell some stories about the Native community that are positive, about all of the good things that are happening, because I think that media tends to just naturally like moths to the flame focus on all of the, the terrible things that are happening and all the hard and difficult stories from the past, which is important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a great thing to make a priority, to be like, hey, there's a lot of people who are doing really amazing things and making change. And I mean, I think the indigenous food movement specifically is like really fascinating.
Yeah.
I know that there's some of that activity happening here in town
Definitely.
too.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But you're also, go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. Finish what you're saying. No. You. I'm going to take a drink of water.
You're okay. I was going to mention, too, that Wyatt, our engineer, because you guys both worked at KFAI. And it's amazing. KFAI, just to reach back to that for a minute, it's amazing how connective KFAI is and how many people are involved in that radio station.
There's like hundreds of volunteers that make that place happen, from the programmers to the people that stuff the envelopes to the people that answer the phones to all the people that volunteer during pledge drive, the people that come into the studio and the people that give their time to do interviews on, Maria Morsted's show, Art Matters. The people give a lot of time to that station, and it's a community. I mean, it's a community treasure.
It is a community treasure.
It's a community
it's the
radio
best way
station. It's it's not Minnesota Public Radio. We love Minnesota Public Radio, but it's not that. So it has a different sound. So
that's cool. I'm glad you're still connected to the station too.
Yeah.
So you're also a filmmaker. So besides doing all of these radio projects and sound projects and journalist projects, you are also making a documentary currently.
Yes, it's about Jim Denemy.
That's
who's
exciting.
An Ojibwe painter from Lacoudere, Wisconsin. A lot of people know his work. It's very colorful, very descriptive, a lot about Minnesota history, a lot about Native people, a lot about his own life and his own story. It's called Rabbit. So, because he identifies with rabbits, that's his animal. So, if you look at some of his paintings, this Thursday he's going to have one at the Minnesota Museum of American Art in that It's Complicated show.
Yeah, that show's Thursday too.
Yes,
right.
I think it's Off the Reservation is the one that is being shown.
Wow.
So he paints about Minnesota's complicated Native history, from the U.S. Dakota War to modern day Indian relations in Minneapolis. And so you'll see a lot of those references in one painting. There's a cop car and these two cops, peeing on a Native person as they're shoving him into the trunk. So that was an incident that happened a couple of decades ago, I think, or maybe I have that time wrong, or in the U.S. Dakota War, some scenes where Andrew Merrick, let them eat grass, or and some of the images are really challenging and they're very heartbreaking, but he adds a level of humor and a level of he makes it easy for you to enter the work with his brush strokes and the colors that he uses. So I love those large-scale paintings, but what really moves me are his portraits. And if you see them, the way he paints Indian people is really raw and really just so striking. There's a few that he had, or the series they're blue, just these really large mouths with these big buck teeth and these big eyes, and the hair is like kind of scraggly, and but it's a way, but they're beautiful. I mean, they're really incredible portraits because it's really bringing people's I think it's a way to channel some of that trauma and some historical trauma and some of the pain that people still feel today in the portraits, and you're able to just connect with that. So I love those portraits. So I think I just was like, he would make a great subject for a documentary. So I had a little bit of money squirreled away, and I was like, I'm just going to start working on it. So
amazing. So when did you start working on it?
I started working on it in the summer of 2014, and then I'm going to finish it at the end of this year. So, and hopefully with collaborating with the Minnesota Museum of American Art, we'll be able to show it next year. And I'm crossing my fingers that it can be in the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jim, what does he like to work with?
Oh, he's great.
I know.
He's so funny.
He's an amazing guy. He's such a nice person.
He's so nice, really generous with his time. The last shoot I went on was him. He hangs drywall. His day job is drywall, and he loves hanging drywall. He says it's great. He actually, and even his wife Diane Wilson, who is an author, a well-respected artist and writer in her own right. She was like, yeah, I think it's for him. It's just a way, like all those ideas. It's just when you don't have to think about anything. It's like if you do for me, it's the dishes or cleaning the house, but for him, it's hanging drywall.
Yeah.
So it's been great to work with him on that. The other shoot I went on with him was he likes to golf.
I didn't know that.
He loves golfing. So
Wow.
I'm going to put out a little video later this week of him teeing off at the St. Paul 9-hole golf course.
That's so great.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to golf. He has grandkids. His studio is just full of knickknacks and art books and paintings, and it's just it's an amazing place. So, and his house in Schaefer, Minnesota, is just phenomenal. I did an interview with his wife there a couple of weeks ago, and it was just stunning. Just against these tamarack trees and the birch bark, and just a lovely
so
interview.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so I'm just working on that, and then I kicked off my local project today. So those are the things I'm going to be focusing on.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not for lack of stuff going on.
No, and I still have some freelance work I got to do too.
Oh, no. And you popped in on this podcast amidst all that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. No, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just going to say, too, this is a shameless plug for me, but Jim agreed to be a part of the Made Here project.
That's
and so these portraits that you're talking about, there's, I believe, 16 of them hanging in the second floor expansion at the Mall of America, which is kind of weird to have Made Here at the Mall of America, but it's a bit of a preview for the larger project downtown. And they built this big, really expensive, really beautiful addition. That's their new front door. And so we have 300 feet of finished drywall that we hung like 90 pieces on to encourage people to come downtown. But we also feature 50% artists from communities of color. And we've had some conversations online about how, people are still sort of healing up from all of the things that happened with Black Lives Matter, and just feeling like, maybe there is something for someone there to soften the experience at the mall, to be able to see something that reflects their own community and feel some level of support. So I'm not sure, one can hope.
yeah. I think that's a really great thing to say, that, it's like a way, the mall is seen as many different things. Mm-hmm. It's not seen as a place to go experience local art, but
no, definitely not.
But it's viewed as a place that's, it's hot, but it's the mecca of capital, at the center of capitalism, and it's a place where, it is a public place. And I do think people have the right to say what they want, even if it's private property. I say that in quotation marks.
Right. So, yeah. But it's exciting. Jim is such a talented and successful artist here, and I think he just had a show in Berlin, and
he did. Yeah. In Friedrichshafen.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like kind of near Switzerland.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, his work now is being shown internationally. So it's really nice to have that level of success kind of too amongst all of these different artists. So it's, and some of the artists that we're featuring have never had a show ever. Yeah. So there's just it's diverse that way.
I like that, because then, you go to see his work or somebody else's work, and it's like, oh, well, what about that?
Yeah, you get to learn more. Right. Hopefully it'll be fun. Yes. But I think that we are going to take a quick commercial break. Can we cue that up, Wyatt? And when we get back, thank you, Allison Herrera. I want you to stick around because you are you've got your hands a little bit in this next event that we're going to talk about.
Tiny.
All right.
An important bit.
Yeah, good. We are going to take a quick break, Joan of Art podcast listeners. And when we come back, we are going to talk to Michelle Baroody, who is the director of the Mizna Twin Cities Arab Film Festival. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
The term foodie can sometimes come across as a tickle pretentious. BT and Lydia are here to demystify the term and reclaim it for the sake of good food. Their weekly podcast brings in fellow foodies and culture creators from the Twin Cities to talk about all things food. Find this duo only on the Alive and Social Network.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back online, along comes this hit show.
Do you want to do this? I will do this.
Jamie, let's not battle our guests.
You're being nice.
Yeah. In a world full of hit shows, this one's the real deal.
I'm refusing to engage in an argument that doesn't exist.
I'm not arguing.
Twin Cities hit show.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Hey,
see, this is how fights start on pedal pubs. This is exactly. He's just all that redheaded anger just came up. It's all in his chest right now.
The Twin Cities Hit Show airs live daily, 9:30 to 10:30 on the Alive and Social Network.
Oh, Shannon, welcome to my world.
Hillbillies out of control, don't have a problem with them. But it's your normal people, it's your normal people, it's your normal people, it's your normal people. I hate normal people more than anybody else. I hate you, normal people, more than anybody else. I hate you, normal people, more than anybody else. Anybody else. Well, dear sir, dear madam, 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 dear sir.
Welcome back to the Joan of Art podcast. Thanks for joining us today. We just had a lovely chat with Allison Herrera, who is working on several different things, including her local lore project titled Invisible Nations, as well as a new documentary about local artist and painter Jim Denemy. Mm-hmm. So we are going to switch who we pick on here. Welcome to Joan of Art, Michelle Baroody. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me on, Joan.
So you are the director of the Mizna Twin Cities Arab Film Festival, which runs this week. It launches on Thursday through Sunday. And I want to talk all about that, but I also just want to know a little bit more about you because I've never met you before. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. Are you a Twin Cities native?
I am not. No, I was born in upstate New York, but quickly moved to the suburbs of Chicago where I grew up. And then I moved to the Twin Cities in 2009. I believe it was that long ago, to go to graduate school at the University of Minnesota. So,
okay, and so you're currently doing that? Or?
I am currently doing that, yes. Still doing that.
Still doing. Well, it's not an easy thing to do. So what did you study? What are your studies?
I'm getting a PhD in cultural studies and comparative literature.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. What was your undergrad degree?
Oh boy, what was it? It was philosophy, English, double major with a linguistics minor.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Got the skills to pay the bills.
Yeah, it was basically like grad school was really the only option. That sort of degree. But, it worked out well.
That's really super interesting. So you became a part of this film festival. How long have you been a part of this?
I've been working with the film festival for the past 3 years, I believe. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it's been 4, but I think it's just been 3. I started off just being on the selection committee, which is the best part of the film festival. It's, we all get together on Saturday mornings and watch films. And as Allison was saying, some of them are amazing and some of them are not as good. And so it's a fun way to sort of bond with the committee. And that first year that I was involved, we did meet every Saturday for months and would just screen films together.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a really fun project. And then I just hung out at the festival all weekend and really started working with Mizna, I think, after that. And then the next year I came on as the coordinator. And then this year I was the director. So
wow, just been moving on up through that.
Yeah, just
So what was your interest in being a part of this at all? What drew you to participate?
In my dissertation and my PhD work, I work on Arab and Arab American literature. So, and I also work on film. My department is cultural studies, comparative literature. It's a mixed bag. People are doing a whole lot of different types of things. There are people who are doing digital media studies, film, television, literature,
wow,
in all sorts of languages. So it's certainly. It ends up, we all take classes together, so you end up taking a lot of different classes on film and media studies and television and things that you wouldn't think about. Even though I came in as a student that was planning to just mostly look at literary theory and literature, I started working in film, became really interested in it, found out about the Arab Film Festival by going to it, and then was just really blown away by some of the films that I saw there. And started working with Hisham Bizri, who was a professor in my department, who's now at Brown, but he's also Lebanese local filmmaker who makes these really fantastic experimental films. He's a huge supporter of the festival. He was actually on this year for the film festival. It's the first year we're doing juried prizes. We have a narrative feature, a documentary feature, and a best short prize. And he was on the narrative feature panel, which was really great. It's really nice to have people who, even though they've sort of moved away, to sort of bring them back into the festival, especially those who have, this is our 10th year, or 10th festival. It's not the 10th year. We used to run on a 18-month cycle. So this is the 10th festival, so it's really nice to get a lot of those hands that have been so important in creating and shaping this really amazing project in the Twin Cities from, when it started and there was a lot of DVDs to now when we're, showing DCP and not so much film because most things are not shot on film and you don't really film anymore, but just sort of moving through that transition to a really different type of festival. So it's nice to bring people like Hisham back in. But yeah, I did a directed study with him and just started learning about Arab cinema and started working with the festival. And yeah, it actually has made its way into my academic work. I've started writing about film and going to film studies conferences and teaching introduction to film and things like that in my department, which is great. You have the opportunity to teach a lot of different things, film, literature, philosophy. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's really interesting too, that this is maybe something you're doing more on the side, but how it starts to influence your life.
Absolutely.
Because you obviously have a passion for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really nice working with the festival too, because I think for Hollywood cinema, it's there's different markets, of course, but for cinema that's made in the Arabic speaking parts of the world, Middle East, North Africa, festivals are the way that these films are distributed, and this is how they circulate. This is how they're screened. This is their
they're
work.
given life.
I mean, this is the only way a lot of these films will ever be screened in the U.S. at all, or outside of those spaces, even if they are even screened in the countries of origin or the countries where they're made. So, I think it's my academic work is really focused on how certain Arab or Arab American writers become prominent or read or translated and then their texts are circulated across the globe. And so it's actually, the two projects speak really nicely to one another, because I get this sort of firsthand view at where these films come from, like how to get a hold of distributors. A lot of the work when programming a festival like this is just, who do you even contact? Who has this film? Where do you get it? Mm-hmm. Like, I've seen it. Now I just want to know how I can show it. And that can often take a lot longer than you'd anticipate.
Be really complicated, right? Because it's hard to find contact information and get...
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and you would think, in the, sort of internet age, that it would make it a lot easier, but and a lot of these films, they'll be posted on these sites like festivalscope.com, which is where filmmakers and their production companies will post their films because they want them to be screened in festivals. And so you watch them there, and then you can sort of get in touch with, there's a contact information on the website, and then you try to get in touch with people, but you never hear back. And so you have to sort of, you end up going on Facebook and and it's
all these weird ways, back channels to get an answer.
Because I think a lot of times too, it's like, as all of Allison's projects show us, a lot of people who are working on films are working on a lot of different things too. It's not not always their main thing that they're doing. And I think it's the same with a lot of production people who are distributing films or producing films, especially when it's coming from somewhere that's not Hollywood or a more established film industry.
Right.
Yeah.
That is really tricky. And that ends up landing mostly on your shoulders for this particular event.
Yes, I did. I did that part. That was most of my job, which is, it's fun work, actually. It's kind of, you get to be really creative. Like, how do I investigate? Like, how do I find the source of this thing? So I like doing that. It's like doing research, but of a different kind, I guess.
People.
Yeah.
People. Processes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was really excited to find out that you were coming on the show. And so I did a little bit of poking around on the internet, and I felt really... I just felt weird that I wasn't aware of this organization and about this film festival. And, film definitely is not my focus in the stuff that I do here in the Twin Cities. But to find out that it's the 10th one, I was like, where have I been sleeping under a rock? So where do these films screen? And where,
Well, the festival started in 2003. So like I said, this is our 10th, but it hasn't been annual. It is now annual. We're planning to do it always in November, or at least in the fall, October, November time of year, when there are a lot of festivals in the Twin Cities, as we all know. But this year, we are screening most of our films at St. Anthony, Maine, in the Film Society's theater, the Theater 3, I believe. And then closing night will be at the Walker. We'll have 2 screenings at the Walker of a film called Narrow Frame of Midnight by Moroccan-Iraqi director Tala Hadid, who will also be in town, which we're really excited about. She is a really interesting, amazing filmmaker. The film is visually stunning. It's really beautiful. The cinematography it
makes you speechless.
Well, it sort of blew me away while watching it on my really old, crappy laptop. So I'm really excited to see it on a big screen, especially the Walker's lovely screen. It's such a nice theater and such a nice space. We're so excited to be partnering with them.
That's great.
And in between those 2 screenings, there's one at 3 and one at 7:30 on Sunday. We'll have a sort of closing night party. That's the proceeds from that will go to Syrian American Medical Society to sort of help get medical supplies to Syrian refugees.
Oh.
And there will be this master oud player, Issam Rafia, will be also playing at that party. So it should be a really nice festive end to the festival.
That sounds amazing. And so will the filmmaker be doing a question and answer?
She will, yeah.
Excellent.
She'll be at the party, and she'll also do a Q&A after the 7:30 screening. And depending on time, she may also be doing a Q&A after the 3 p.m. screening.
That sounds wonderful. So can you tell me some of the highlights of the festival? I'm sure you're really proud and excited about everything that's been selected, but maybe is it okay to go from day to day about the stuff that you maybe...
Oh, sure.
Talk about that animated film.
Oh, the Wanted 18. Oh,
with the
absolutely.
cows.
Yeah, the cows, the animated cows, the infamous 18 cows. Well, this film that Allison is referring to is called Allison. I should actually give Allison a bit of a shout out because she and
I deserve no shout outs.
Oh no, it's great. Allison and Jordan Lee Thompson, who's he did the
graphics. I mean, like he buttoned that down, man.
He's great. He's amazing. I don't know where we would have been without him. Jordan is. He was on our screening committee this year, and he was very dedicated. He came every Saturday at 10 a.m. whenever we had screenings, and was very good about eating the cookies that I brought even when they were stale or at least tasted stale. But he and Allison also put together the trailer for the festival, which has fantastic interviews with Mizna. Mizna's a local nonprofit organization and currently in St. Paul, but used to be in Minneapolis, but covers both the cities.
Sure.
Yeah. Our fabulous director, Lana Barkawi. There's some interview with her. There's an interview with Mohamed Gouenme, who was one of the founders of the festival, programs, curated it for a really long time, but last year he moved to UCLA to start a PhD program there. But we wanted him in the theater in some way. So it's great because you can hear his voice and see a little bit of him talking about the importance of Mizna's festival and celebrating its 10th year. But so anyway, Allison and Jordan made this really fantastic trailer that if you come to the festival, you will see screening before every film.
Before each film?
Before each film.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That's exciting.
It will be screened... I don't know exactly how many times, but many. Yeah. Maybe 15.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
I think it's currently screening at the Walker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I didn't know
it might already be up there. And you can find it on Facebook on Mizna's
Okay,
website.
good. I will.
But going back to the infamous cows, one of the films that we're most excited about this year, it's true, is... this film called The Wanted 18, which is actually screening twice. Once on Friday at 7:30. That's Friday, November 6th. And then again on Sunday, November 8th at 3 p.m. And both of those screenings are at St. Anthony, Maine. And Amar Shamali, who is one of the directors of the film and also the animator, will be here from Palestine, which is very exciting.
Wow.
He actually, it's interesting. The film is fantastic. It's funny. It's politically on point. It tells the story of, during the first Intifada, during the first uprising in Israel, Israel-Palestine, there was a town called Beit Sahor that had brought in 18 cows to start their own dairy. And then there was this uprising, and Israel declared the cows a security threat to the state of Israel. And so they went looking for these cows, and you get to see these reenactments of the cows dealing with their own situation and their own sort of position between these two places. And they're really funny and they're great. Have you seen it? Or did you just see it when you were putting the trailer together?
I just saw it when we were putting the trailer together. And I was just so
it's lovely. The
by it.
animation is amazing. The film is great. It's really worth coming out for. And interestingly, when it premiered in the U.S. a couple of months ago at the Human Rights Film Festival in New York, Amr Shamali was not given a visa to travel to the festival, even though he was supposed to be there. So it's even more exciting that he's in the country now and he's doing this tour with his film that is also Palestine's submission to the Oscars this year for Best Foreign Language Film, and definitely worth coming out for. It's really a treat to have Shamali here with us.
Wow,
yeah.
that's cool. Quite a score for the festival.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so the Narrow Frame of Midnight, the One at 18. Do you have a couple of others that you could tell us about?
Sure. Well, the opening night film, which is Thursday, November 5th at St. Anthony Main Theater. The film starts at 7:30, but there will be a free party before that at the Prochna on Main Spot. Prochna is not there right now, but they'll open up the bar for us, and it'll be nice casual get together before the screening of our opening night film, which is also Palestinian. And it's called Love, Theft, and Other Entanglements. And it's the winner of the Narrative Feature Prize.
It's a beautiful film.
It's beautiful. Have you seen that one? It's
I just saw
very
some
lovely.
of the trailer, the images, and they're just stunning.
It's black and white, but it's really funny, politically really solid, really interesting film made by a young Palestinian director called Muyayad Elayan. And he and his brother, Rami Elayan, who is the co-producer, director, screenwriter, will both be available via Skype after the screening of the film to talk about it. Cool. And the film, it's their first feature. It's also made by this Palestinian film collective that the two of them work with called Pal Cine, which is really committed to sort of grassroots activism and also activism through film and through making images. So it's really exciting to sort of see this as their first feature because it's beautiful.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And you're like, how is this your first?
I'm really excited to see what comes from this film collective and from these filmmakers in the future because this film is really astounding. So it's definitely worth coming out for, even though there are many things happening on Thursday, it sounds like. As we were discussing before.
Sorry.
I know. That's the nice thing about
Seems like a good problem.
Yeah. There's always 10 or 10 events every weekend.
That you want to go to.
How can I make them all?
I know.
What can I do?
I know.
What can I do?
It's really hard.
It is. Absolutely.
I tend to only see people if I'm working with them. That's my problem.
Yeah.
But so that's Thursday night. And that's fun that you're having a free party and that the filmmakers are going to be talking on Skype. Like, that's so great that you coordinated that. That's really exciting.
It'll be really fun.
Yeah. And so then Friday night, maybe you already mentioned that there's the film Narrow Frame of Midnight. Is that Friday night?
No, both of the screenings of Narrow Frame of Midnight are on Sunday at the Walker.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday night, there's another, there's an Egyptian film playing in the evening called El Oud, with, it's by this filmmaker called Ibrahim El Batut, who his film is also really lovely. Another one that featured prominently in the trailer. It has some incredible shots of Cairo. There's an amazing part in the middle of the film where I think you took a lot of those images from, where one of the characters, who's this sort of mysterious crime boss type, goes walking around Cairo and goes to all of these places that you would go to if you were a tourist, but you just have these amazing shots and the colors, and it's really lovely. It's a great film. We've screened a lot of his films, Ibrahim El Batut, the director's films, in festivals past, so it's really nice to have that one again. And it's screening with this amazing short. Amazing, I say. Well, it's a challenging short. It's made by a Moroccan director who grew up in the UK named Faisal Balifa, and it's all about a female sex worker and all of the online reviews that she gets. And her name is Coco, and it's when we all watch, everyone who's seen it is just kind of immediately like, I don't know what to do with that film, but it's really astounding. It scored really high from all of the short film jurors. They found it to be one of the most compelling of the films. That segment is a bit of adult content. There's some violence and some other adult
Themes.
content.
Not when you want to
Too
bring your
early in the
5-year-old
day
to.
to talk about that. But it's screening at 9:30, so
Okay.
it's good.
That should be okay.
And then on Friday at 5:30, there's a really great Lebanese romantic comedy that's basically like the Lebanese Sex and the City. Takes place in Beirut. Really, really funny, well put together film. One that definitely probably will not show up in other festivals because it's something that was screened definitely more focused on people living in Lebanon, living in Beirut. So it's definitely worth coming out for.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have just tons of content. It's like I want to see
much.
everything.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Beirut was, it's kind of a really big cultural hub for like film and media and arts and culture.
And television, and traditionally linked to sort of a publishing center of the Arabic speaking world as well. So Beirut is a pretty interesting city. I've never been there, but one of our long-time screening committee Mizna supporters, Lena Halibi, who recently moved to New York, she's from Beirut, and she screened that film with us and just was rolling on the floor laughing and she was like, this is what I feel like. So
definitely a window into the world.
I just want to put a little plug in here for Mizna and some of the, they had an art curator.
Oh yeah,
their
absolutely.
Staff, Heba Amin, and I'm maybe you and your listeners are acquainted with the series Homeland and the recent controversy that showed up with the Homeland is racist. Well, that's her work.
Yeah. Wow.
So she is now part of Mizna's curatorial staff.
Yeah, and she's worked with Mizna for a long time.
She's she used to live here in the Twin Cities too.
Interesting.
Yeah, and she's done she's amazing. Heba does amazing work, and we've always she's great at making the website and the program look really lovely for festivals past. But yeah, she also was, and she's now the arts curator at Mizna, and she was responsible for the Homeland hack, I believe is the name it's been called, where they had asked they put out some call for Arabians, I believe was the term that they used, to come and do some graffiti in what was supposed to be a refugee camp set. And at first they weren't going to do it, and then they were like, this is actually a good place to be sort of subversive. So they went in and wrote in Arabic things like Homeland is racist and all of these things that were not caught by the people who were part of the Homeland team, because even though they make a lot of their television show sort of surrounds the Arabic speaking world and these really outdated negative stereotypes of terrorist cells in the Arab world, no one on their staff speaks or reads Arabic, so they didn't know, and they filmed it, and not until the episode actually aired on television
that's what you get.
Yeah,
right? That's what you get.
It's pretty great.
I have not seen that show, but I've wanted to watch it since that happened.
It's yeah.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Well, where can we look at the entire schedule for the festival?
You could go to Mizna's website, www.mizna.org, and there's a link to the Arab Film Fest webpage there. So, and it's also up on the Film Society's website if you're often looking there.
That's great. And Allison, can you remind me again where we can find your new project? Online?
So right now, you will. There's a couple ways. You can go to kosu.org/Invisible Nations, and then so you can see just a description about the project, and that's where we'll be putting up our content for radio stories and video and that sort of thing. And then I have to put another plug in here. My friend and colleague, Ashley Fairbanks, she is designing my awesome logo. So you can see her cool work on there,
She's
too.
a Joan of Art podcast alum.
She's really great.
I know.
Really great. So you can go there. You can go on the AIR site, AIR Media / Finding America. you can find out some more information there. And then also on my Facebook page, Invisible Nations. And then I'll be updating my my own personal page with my work for my Rabbit, my film about Jim Denomy.
Yeah.
So I'll post. Actually, I'm going to post that little golf thing today.
Yay!
So,
that's great. I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't either. So
yeah,
I mean,
a big project.
Yeah, it's a big project. I mean, I feel like it's manageable. It's like it's there. So.
Well, and you've got a real passion for the subject, and so I think that's very helpful to be like, you really care about Jim, and you want his story to be told, and so
I do. I care about how it gets told, and and I care about. I really am invested in this local law project, and I'm really invested in. I don't know anybody in Oklahoma, but when I went down there earlier this year, it was really amazing. People were really friendly, and there's just so much there to dive into. Just not even, the native tribes there, but it's all just like Oklahoma, Tulsa itself. That's the home of, the Woody Guthrie Archives. My office is going to be in the same building as the Woody Guthrie Archives.
Wow, that's neat.
And it's in the part of town that had where the Tulsa race riots were in 1921. And if you don't know about that, there's, you can go online and find out a little bit more about it. But it has an interesting history. Oklahoma has an interesting history, and it's a place of, I think, immense beauty and has so much history, and it's complicated. So
so you're going to have a really good time unlocking some of the stories.
Definitely.
It's going to be great. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Allison Herrera and Michelle Baroody. And I want to encourage everyone to check out the Mizna Twin Cities Arab Film Festival. Get online and look at that schedule and pick out some stuff to go see this week.
Yeah. And if you look at the Facebook page, you can also see Allison's lovely trailer.
I can't wait. It's going to be great.
The music was awesome.
The music is good.
Psycho Leppo.
Yeah, Psycho Leppo. He's local. We're very excited about him.
Yes, that he is local.
I am into it. We will share that link here too on Facebook and on the Spreaker page. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Joan of Arc Podcast. We will be back next week with more wonderfully talented people as we investigate and celebrate people who make art. Have a good day. I'll see you next week.
Out of control. Don't have a problem with them. But it's your normal people, it's your normal people, it's your normal people, it's your normal people.